This is a certified hood classic.
You think everything funny for that YouTube shit,
bro? I'm not being funny, bro.
We ain't cool, bro.
We one of the most hard-working communities on YouTube. We get lit every fucking day. We're happy. Every time we drop a video, we get happy, bro. I'm talking about we laugh, we joke, we talk shit. We don't get too overly sensitive over here. We literally live. We don't even have a lot of haters over here. Like, our haters over here really are our biggest supporters, man. They don't even be hating. You know what I'm saying? Like, our haters be trying the best, but they just love us so much, bro. They love the community so much that we got over here, bro. They can't even hate properly, my boy, man. We winning over here, bro. Fuck everything. Hey, real quick, shout out to my boy Bloom. Shout out to my boy Bloom, bro. I've been doing a lot of his videos lately, bro, and I've been fucking with it.
When I was organizing this list, the D tier was definitely the easiest tier to organize, because South Park has so few episodes that I would truly consider bad. Even though they have so few bad episodes, the ones that are bad...
Look at this nigga, boy. The fuck? I could definitely tell this nigga is British, bro. Boy, look at this nigga chin, boy. Hold on, boy. Y'all know what this nigga chin looks like, boy. The sack chin ass, boy. What the fuck? This looks like an off-brand fucking, I don't know, bro. Fucking Dark Souls if it was animated. What the fuck is this?
Are truly, truly awful. So, to start off the list at number 309, the single worst episode of South Park, Pip. Now, unless you're a big fan of South Park and have seen all...
Look at the wife, bitch. They live in squander, boy. The fuck? The peasants, nasty ass nigga got socks on instead of shoes, and this bitch ain't even got feet. This bitch ain't even got no damn feet, boy. Hey, bro.
Episodes, there's a pretty good chance that you've never even seen or heard of this episode. If that's the case, you're very lucky, because, to put it frankly, this episode is garbage.
It is, though.
The episode explores the backstory of Pip, who is already probably the least interesting and most forgettable character in the show. That's really all you need to know about this episode, because simply, this episode is so boring.
I think they really did my boy Pip in real bad. Like, they did my boy Pip in bad as fuck, boy. He said that boy live in squander. That boy don't do shit, boy. Look at this nigga family, boy. This bitch got a dirty quilt on, boy. Hey, look at her fucking fingers, boy. This shit sharp as a motherfucker, boy. These niggas look like Dr. Seuss characters. No, y'all are not South Park characters. No, only Pip is the South Park character. Y'all are Dr. Seuss characters, boy. I'm finna get on y'all shit, boy. This nigga got bippity-boppity shoes on. Nasty ass.
Before I rewatched it for this list, I literally couldn't remember anything from this episode. It was so forgettable. All I remembered was that I hated this episode.
Harry Sack.
When I rewatched it, I understood why I hated it so much.
Right.
I think there's supposed to be jokes in the episode, but I can't tell because nothing is funny in this episode.
Right, it should look like an Addams Family rerun.
This is the only South Park episode where I didn't laugh at all. I don't even think I smiled watching this episode. It's so painful to watch.
It is.
I genuinely cannot understand what Matt and Trey were thinking making this episode. I
don't even think they gave a fuck. This is giving Pip a background story. Like, and then they killed him off too, so I'm just like, damn, that's fucked up.
I'm at a loss for words for how bad this episode is. Even the characters in this episode, every single character is so poorly designed. They're just disgusting to look at.
Right.
I think that's supposed to be a joke, like a diss at British people, but I still don't know because it's not funny. Right. Nothing in this episode is funny, and nothing happens. It's so boring. Okay, sorry. I just got a little worked up. Let's just move on.
He said, let's move on.
Coming in at the 308 spot, we have white people renovating houses.
I really like this episode. That shit was funny, bro. Like, you know, when they be like, move that bus and shit, and they move that bus, and there's a whole extreme home makeover. That shit wasn't even that bad, bro. That shit wasn't even that bad, bro. But I like this. I like their interpretation of this shit, though.
This episode perfectly embodies...
Oh, shit, bro. We got a super chat. Help. Thank you, my boy Jeff. It says to help get Gia new knees. Y'all, if y'all know, Gia hasn't been on the channel because she is suffering from lack of knees, okay? It's just, she just doesn't have any knees. So if anybody on here can spare any knees or just any money to get her some knees, everything, every little dollar counts. You know what I'm saying? It just get, if y'all need, in the arms of the angel. Just imagine that shit was playing in the background. Please, if anybody can spare any knees to give to Gia, she just doesn't have any knees.
The issues that I personally have with seasons 20 and 21 of South Park. Watching this episode is kind of like what I would imagine it to be like to have a stroke. That's because this episode feels like it's beating you over the head with its message, being extremely blatant and obvious with what it's trying to say.
Right.
But at the same time, I feel like I have no clue what's going on. What feels like the only joke in this episode is done over and over and over again the entire episode.
I think that was the joke, the expansion on Randy. It wasn't so much to be a hilarious episode. I think they were just trying to expand on him as a character.
And that's basically it. It's just one joke done over and over again. It's just so uncharacteristic of South Park because there's just absolutely no nuance or any depth to what they're saying. They just made a joke that wasn't even really funny to begin with, and then just said it over and over again, and that's it. And that's the whole episode. Pretty bad. All right,
Yeah.
now coming in at our 307th place, we
My
have
boy
A
Tally.
Million Little Fibers.
Hey, bro, Oprah was thick as hell in this book. What is she? I was like, hold on. It made me have to look her up in the real life, man. Nice tits.
If you've seen this episode,
Whoa!
you understand why I don't have much to say here. This is another example of the creators taking a joke that wasn't funny in the first place and going
Boy, she got a donk, don't she? Shit.
way too far with it. Towley trying to write an autobiography was kind of
Hey, shout out to my boy Kenny with the drip.
wasn't that funny, but I mean at least it was kind of interesting. And of course the Oprah subplot, it just cringe. That's all it was. Just
What's up, my boy
pure
T?
cringe.
What's
All
up,
right,
T?
Coming up next in 306th, we have Terrence and Phillip in Not Without My Anus. Again, with this episode, there's really not much to say. It's just an episode of Terrence and Phillip, which,
Right.
I mean, it's about what you expect it to be.
Right.
The
I
only
guess I can
redeeming
see
quality this episode has is that I kind of laughed sometimes, like I snickered, but that's about it.
that. Well, you know, the good thing is, and I say this like in a positive way. The good thing is, really, you know, it's really just like, you know how like they say beauty is in the eye of the beholder. The good thing is there's some things that you might laugh at and some things you might not laugh at, and some things everybody laughs at, and some things everybody just don't laugh at all at. And I think that it just comes down to personal preference. But I get what Bloom is saying. Like, when I remember the episode, I remember it more about a journey of Terrence and Phillip more than it was like a classic funny South Park episode. I was just like, we just kind of got more insight on them and the Canadian government and, you know, yada yada. So it was a good expansion. So I wouldn't say, I'm glad that he put it at this part of, the video, because I'm like, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't like, oh my God, this is hilarious. And I think that was the cross to it.
It sucks. Now, coming in at 305th place, we have Terrence and Phillip Behind the Blow. Now, this is when you may begin to realize that there is a bit of a pattern of what episodes are bad episodes.
Yeah,
And
like the spinoff.
that pattern is just, if it's a Terrence and Phillip episode, it probably sucks.
Damn.
Which is a shame, because I don't think Terrence and Phillip are inherently unfunny. The problem is when they try to stretch that humor into an entire episode.
What? What is he doing to him?
Episode is. Once again, not that funny, pretty forgettable, bad episode. All right, landing in our 304th spot, we have Jack Off.
The Duck Man, nasty ass, boy. What the fuck? Nigga, arms long as hell, boy. Get your globe head ass, boy. Get your crystal ball head ass, boy. I'm finna get on your shit, boy. Looking like a yellow cheese puff, boy. Distorted peep looking ass, boy. That cow looking at you like, boy, you fucked up.
Offisaurs. This is
The
another
fuck?
example of an episode that's just kind of
Mutated duck looking ass.
painful
Damn.
to watch. It's just not really that funny, and the Jack Offisaurs are just so ear-gratingly annoying that
Right.
it's just It's a tough watch, to say the least.
What?
All right, coming in at number 303, we have City on the Edge of Forever. This is another episode that, unless you're a really, really big fan of South Park, you probably haven't even seen this episode.
I forgot this, though.
I don't suggest watching.
What's up, Hood Switch?
The kids get stuck on the edge of a cliff in a bus, and they can't leave the bus because then it won't be balanced anymore. So they're just having false memories about the previous episodes of South Park. Meanwhile, Miss Crabtree goes to find help, and it follows her as she goes and looks for help. And she's already one of the most annoying characters in the show, so her talking for the entire episode.
I know her breath stinks. Like, I know her breath smell like shit stains, bro. I'm just like, just already stains, man. Not even shit, but the stain of it. Like, damn, bitch. Like, cause you could tell by her teeth that she just been chewing on, I don't know, fucking Legos, bricks, ass, donuts. I don't even know. Bitch.
All right, up next at number 302, we have Royal Pudding. Don't really have much to say about this episode. It's pretty forgettable, and it just simply isn't very funny.
My boy Bloom don't like shit.
That's about it. Next at 301st, we have Eat, Pray, Queef.
Oh,
now, I'm a big fan of dumb, immature humor when it's done in a way that acknowledges.
Damn, it blew my nigga. Hey, bro, that man had 3 lines of hair on the top. Think of this. Do this with your hand. Slap that shit on your head. Stupid ass, that's his nigga hair, boy. Let that shit go, boy. Damn, that shit look like heat waves coming down to your eyebrows, stupid ass, boy. Hey, that nigga's hair was fucked up. But look, to get fucking blasted with a queef, boy, that shit was almost a Pokemon attack.
It's dumb and immature. And South Park's really good at it. That's one of their specialties. But in this episode, there's no acknowledgement. The humor in this episode can be broken down into farts equal funny, queefs equal not funny. And that's really it. It kind of sucks. All right, and coming in at the 300th spot, we have Mr. Garrison's fancy new vagina. Now, I would say this episode isn't actually that bad.
It is
arguably
funny.
It doesn't belong in the D tier, but what really made me put it in the D tier is a very specific scene at the beginning of the episode that, if you know what I'm talking about, you know why it's here.
Okay,
and that's
what
really
was
all I
that?
have to say about it.
Damn, I don't remember it, bro.
All right, and at our 299th spot, we have Crippled,
Crippled
Summer.
Summer.
This episode follows Nathan and Mimsy, who
Just what, you know what's funny? Just the fact of the names alone is hilarious. The names alone in this is hilarious, y'all. That's what really is funny right there.
I think can be funny, but here they just kind of drop the ball. It's just like kind of devolves into like a Looney Tunes episode.
Mimsy!
Not really in a good way. So, yeah. I guess the Tally drug addiction thing is kind of funny.
Tally
but
has
that
agreed
is
to be in a
forgettable,
documentary.
So I have nothing else to say.
Tally drug addiction was
All right,
hilarious.
Rounding out the D tier, coming in at 290th
Oh, yeah,
place,
fuck this
we
shit.
have Funny Bot.
Yeah.
Now, from a surface level, this episode is just painfully unfunny, but I almost think that this episode could honestly be S tier. And here's why. One of the main points they make in this episode is about how a comedy award show is a terrible idea because you'd be taking comedy seriously, which is kind of the opposite of what comedy is.
Right,
so
right.
what if they made the episode intentionally unfunny as a way to you know what? Never mind. I lost.
Bloom, I love your pauses, bro. That shit is hilarious. That's comic. That's
All
comic.
right.
Shout out to him, my boy. I'm glad they actually got something to help people out for once.
Thankfully, we're now past every episode that I think is a bad episode of South Park, and we're into the C tier. As I mentioned earlier, the C tier ranges from okay but forgettable episodes to decent episodes that are just kind of eh. So let's start it off. The first episode in the C tier, coming in at 297th place, is a History Channel Thanksgiving. Honestly, this might be the most forgettable episode in the entire show.
Right, because I sure forgot that shit.
When I was ranking these episodes, I actually had absolutely no recollection of this episode in any way. I didn't even remember it existing. When I went back and watched it, it was kind of meh. It was a parody of the History Channel and how they...
Imagine making something and somebody was like imagine making something, spending time on it, going the extra mile, doing animation, recording the voices, and then all you get is an unforgettable, all you get is a forgettable That's fucked up. but it is what it is, but
It's so forgettable. I think it belongs at the very bottom of the C tier.
you
Up
said that
next
was
at
interesting, to say the
296th,
least.
we have Free Hat. Now, I think this episode is actually pretty clever in how they make fun of Steven Spielberg and George Lucas and what they're doing to their old movies. The problem arises in the execution of this idea. I'll admit I thought it was
Yeah.
kind of funny at the beginning when they did it. It was a little bit weird, but it was still pretty funny and tasteful.
Yeah.
But as the episode went on and it kept getting more and more vivid and detailed, it kind of lost the humor in my opinion. It just kind of became disturbing, and
Yeah.
this is coming from someone who loves dark humor as much as anyone else.
Yeah, bro. Like, I'm talking about, like, that episode I refused to do on the channel because it was so disturbing. Like, I'm like, it's not even the fact that if I think it's funny or not. I'm like, dude, this is weird, bro. Like, man or woman, the R word, y'all know what it is. Please do not post it in the comments. Don't post it. You know what I'm talking about. Just the R word in general is just one that's not funny. I mean, I've seen some comedians make it kind of like Dave Chappelle has made it funny, like ish. But how South Park did it, I'm like, this is not funny at all. And quite frankly, this was a disturbing ass episode, bro. Like, I was looking at it like, okay. 2 times here, real quick, I'm gonna say this. 2 times. The 2 times I've tried to tiptoe one of my friends or somebody into an episode, I always pick the most fucked up episode to do it on accident. The first time I was trying to get my homeboy into South Park, and I randomly showed him an episode, and that was literally the chef's death episode, and I was like, oh, that was disturbing as fuck. And then that when I tried to show this one girl, I was chilling with her, we was laying up, yada yada. She's like, okay, so you be into South Park, you be into other shit, so like what you know what I'm saying, like show me an episode, like, you know, give me, you know, she trying to connect with me, you know what I'm saying, she trying to connect with your boy, you know what I'm saying, yeah, rest in peace my boy Chef. She was trying to connect with your boy. So I'm like, all right, cool, you know what I'm saying, whatever, you know what I'm saying, the mood set, we had a little incident going, you know what I'm saying, we laid back, we chilling. It was like right before the Netflix and chill, so it was like we was chilling and shit. And I'm like, you know what I'm saying, we still in the talking, you know, we was actually talking. This wasn't before you know, when you put on the little movie that, you know, the little movie that y'all ain't really gonna watch the movie Netflix, or you still there? No, nigga, you know what we doing, Netflix, you know what we doing. That was right before that, and I put on that episode, and it was the Steven Spielberg episode, and I was like, God damn, this is awkward. I had to change it, and we had a whole discussion about the shit, and I was just like, fuck, you know what I'm saying? Like, this was not the episode to, you know, like, she's like, is this what you're into? I'm like,
But I just think they took it too far to a place it didn't have to go to, and even though I think
like,
this
look at
episode is
this
funny,
shit, bro.
it
What the
belongs down here
fuck?
because of that. Coming in at number
That's literally the part we stopped on. I was like, okay, let me turn this shit off.
for 295, we have Jewpacabra.
That Jabberwocky.
This is another episode that's kind of forgettable. It has some good moments, like Cartman being classic Cartman and being extremely racist.
What's up, my boy Sam?
Only to, at the end of the episode, become Jewish himself. But other than that, it was just an okay episode, and I think it belongs here.
Right, I feel you. I
At
can feel that.
294, we have Hummels and Heroin.
No. I love this episode. In the end where Stan's grandpa goes postal on them old bitches, boy, and the girl right here always farting and shit, walking around farting. That shit was hilarious, boy.
This episode parodies the
Stinky ass
opioid
bitch.
epidemic and how it's affecting celebrities. I think it's a pretty funny episode. It has some memorable moments, like instead of real celebrities overdosing, they have mascots overdosing at kids' birthday parties.
Right.
And how they parody a nursing home to make it look like it's a prison that's smuggling drugs in and out. I think this episode is pretty funny. My only problem with it is that they didn't really have much to say about the actual opioid epidemic.
Right.
But other than that, it's a decent episode.
Yeah, that's pretty good,
And
bro.
at 293rd,
I like that.
we have The Problem with a Poo. This episode is parodying cancel culture, which I think is something that everyone wanted South Park to tackle before this.
Right.
So when they finally did, I think we all had very high expectations for it. And this episode definitely isn't bad. I just think it's a little bit underwhelming by South Park standards, especially when they're talking about a topic as controversial as cancel culture.
They might be able to do it again and really like go hard at it, but yeah, I get where you coming from with that, my boy, for real.
All in all, I think it was a funny episode, but I definitely feel like they could have said more. Coming in at 292, we have chocolate salty balls. This episode also is pretty forgettable. It's not very noteworthy, but the main redeeming factor of this episode is the fact that it has the song Chocolate Salty Balls in it, which is arguably one of the most iconic songs of the whole franchise, and definitely Chef's most iconic song. So, yeah. At
Quizzy on demand, let it burn.
Is a very crappy Christmas. You may be beginning to notice a pattern in my analysis in this tier, and that's that most of these episodes are just kind of forgettable, kind of and this episode is a pretty good example of that. I think the funniest part in this episode is the fact that the boys create their own animation using paper cutouts.
And you know what's interesting? The whole creating their own animation with the paper cutouts. I wonder if low-key that was like an Easter egg to how Matt and Trey used to create animation for South Park in the beginning. You know what I'm saying?
Stop motion, which is clearly a
like, look at that. Like, that could be literally Matt and Trey. You see what I'm saying? And I wonder if that is like I said, a Easter egg. You know what I'm saying? I think that's, if so, I think that was dope. Some guy with a guitar, my boy said, he said it was. Okay, that's what I thought. You know what I'm saying? Your boy's putting some shit to get together. 1, 2 equals 5. I'm glass, boy. I'm finna get on your shit, boy. No, but yeah, right on for that, my boy. And yeah, I do think that. I really do. And that's what's up. I like that. I like when they can go back in and kind of like make a reference to something that they used to do. Like, that shit lit to me.
Reference to how Matt and Trey created South Park.
Oh, and then he just fucking said it, bro.
At first, so I think that's funny, but
I miss Chef too, bro.
Up next is the episode Going Native. The main joke in this episode is making fun of the people who go to Hawaii and all of a sudden act like they're natives to Hawaii, even though they only vacation there sometimes.
Right.
I think that whole bit that they do is kind of funny, but the only problem that I really have with this episode is the fact that they make Butters act very uncharacteristically for this episode, solely for the purpose of the plot. And I don't really like that, but other than that, this episode is pretty decent.
Okay.
At 289, we have It's Christmas in Canada. The boys go to Canada in an attempt to rescue Ike from his real parents, who decided they wanted Ike back and took.
What's up, my boy? The underground is back. He said, I love that. I love that Going Native. It's a good episode. I think that's solid.
Took him with them. The best part of this video is easily Cartman complaining the entire time about not wanting to miss Christmas and threatening Kyle that if they do miss Christmas, he's going to kick his ass. Only for Cartman to challenge Kyle to a fight and get punched in the face and start crying. At 288th, we have Taming.
Oh, this was
Even
funny as hell.
This episode has about exposing children to sexual content and the age at which they're exposed to sexual content.
Right.
The main thing I don't like about this episode is how they use Ike to portray a child going through puberty and all the emotions that come along with that. Mainly because Ike is such a cute and innocent character. It's just hard to watch him become this gross, pubescent character.
I think, and that was the whole point. I think that was the main point of it. It was like, bro, when you would never think, like, if we watched Butters do that, we would be like, oh, okay, but Butters has his moments where he just, like, can go off, like the pimp episode and yada yada, all this other stuff. Like, that was dope. But Ike, you wouldn't think in a million years that he would go off on his brother like that. Remember, he drew his brother that whooping crane on his head and shit, that damn whooping crane. He said, oh, okay, it's nice, whooping crane, you know, nice little crane on your head. It's like, bro, what the fuck? That ain't no crane, my boy.
But ignoring that, pretty good episode. At 287 is Happy Hologram.
Oh, hell no.
This episode is the finale of season 18, which is one of my favorite seasons and one of the first seasons to try any sort of serialization of any kind. And while I do think this episode is pretty funny, my biggest problem with it is I think they were...
Hey, man, shout out to my boy. Shout out to my boy, Jeff. Did he change his name to Mr. Hanky? Howdy-ho!
Trying to do too much with this episode. And I
Thank you for the super chat, my boy. I appreciate you.
think maybe that was intentional, but the episode just comes across
My
as
boy said
extremely
Professor
confusing,
Chaos.
and I really have no clue what's happening for the last 15 minutes of the episode, so it's a little bit weird, but I still think it's funny. In 286th place, we have More Crap.
More crap. Oh yeah, the episode where he literally was going crap inside him. Yeah, Canadians are chill as fuck. I met a few Canadian people, bro. Every Canadian that I met personally have been laid back and cool as hell, bro. Don't mention maple syrup is a touchy subject. And another thing that I asked them, which was I guess a little racist. It was a little racist to Canadians. I asked them about maple syrup, and then I also asked them, does everybody leave their door unlocked? Is that a thing in Canada? And I literally asked that because I was so ignorant. I didn't know. They all stopped and looked at me and said, do you leave your fucking door unlocked? I said, point taken. Point taken, bitch. You didn't have to say that shit like that to me. But point taken. I understand. I got you, my boy. We won't have that discussion again. And then the funniest thing happened. Dude came out of nowhere. He's like, bro, I'm just fucking with you, bro. Yeah, man, I'll leave this shit unlocked. I'm like, are you serious? I didn't know. I did not know that. I don't think all Canadian people leave their door unlocked. I think that it was just something that I seen, and I was just like, really? Is that a thing? Like, is it that safe in Canada where people leave their door unlocked and leave it all, like the screen door open? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Pardon me, because I don't want to be ignorant to the subject. I'm really just asking the question for real. No one here leaves our door unlocked. That was because of one documentary. Bro, I'll send you some syrup though. My boy, I need some real syrup, my boy. I need some real syrup, preferably from Amonti. You know what I'm saying? I need some syrup for real though, bro.
You can't really expect an episode with almost solely poop-based humor to place very high on this list, but this is still pretty good for what it is. I think the twist ending with Bono being the record rather than setting the record is a pretty clever twist, and yeah, decent episode.
Solid.
In 285th place, we have Splatty Tomato. The season finale of season 21 has some alright jokes in it, but once again, pretty forgettable. That's it. At 285 is Licecapades. When I try to think of bizarre South Park episodes, this is definitely one of the ones that comes to mind. I think it's funny that it takes place in the world of the lice.
Yeah, that was kind of dope,
the lice
bro.
from their hair. And it clearly parodies disaster movies like 20.
He was like, "Oh my god!" Yeah, that was really dope. Okay, Jeff, I got you. That was really dope. What my people say. A little intermission, real quick. Maple syrup go crazy. Dark Prism, what's up, my boy? Maple syrup is surprisingly so freaking good. Like you never want to go back to corn syrup again. He said, "I'll be right back." Okay, Jeff. This episode is fire, mama. He said, "My boy." That's my birthday boy. My birthday boy.
2012. But I can't really help but think, what was this episode? At 283 is Butterballs.
Butterballs.
This is a pretty dark episode because it tackles bullying. And one of the main ways they showcase it is through Butters being bullied by his grandma, which I think is a clever idea because the obvious juxtaposition between a friendly-looking grandma and being a bully is pretty funny, but it's still pretty hard to watch Butters get repeatedly bullied by his grandma over and over again.
Yeah, I feel you. But he does get back at that bitch at the end, though.
Of course, Stan hopping on the anti-bullying train just as a way to make people like him is pretty typical of his character, but other than that, okay episode. In the 282nd spot is Let Them Eat Goo, a parody of the Beyond Meat craze that's been happening recently. This episode is a very interesting take on that. Since the episode makes the point that it's all just processed crap anyways, is it really that much healthier for you? A pretty
Hey, all my moderators that's in here right now, do me a favor. Every time you see a message that needs to be approved, approve that for me, my boy. Anybody is fine, but just approve that for me. I appreciate y'all.
Controversial point, but I think the best part of this episode is watching the side plot of Randy and Tally selling wheat
Thank
burgers.
you. Appreciate y'all.
It created some dumb laughs, and I enjoyed it. At 281 is Douche and a Danish. This is the lowest ranking episode I have from season 20, and you'll see that it's not much lower than the other ones from season 20. As I'm just simply not a big fan of season 20.
Danish is for Denmark.
I'm probably not going to talk about it very much, so yeah. This episode is kind of funny, kind of forgettable.
I like this episode, right, because this is the episode where fuck, what's his name, bro? God damn, what is Kyle's dad's name? Golly, bro, somebody help me out. Kyle's dad. That's when he was Slut Master 65 or some shit like that, and he literally is marching around with this fat dude just so that way they can Gerald. Thank y'all, Gerald. So yeah, that's literally him marching around with this fat dude and shit like that. That shit was hilarious to me, bro. Like, I ain't gonna lie, I really did like this episode.
Not that interesting in my opinion. Next one. At 280 is I should have never gone ziplining. I think anyone that's been ziplining can respect this episode a bit more than the average person because it is pretty accurate. Ziplining is a little bit underwhelming. And I think it's funny that they parodied one of those shows that document people who struggle for survival when they get stuck somewhere. So, all in all, decent episode. Coming in at 279th, we have members only. As I mentioned,
Skank Hunt 42. What did I say? He's a Slut Master 69.
I'm not a big fan of season 20, so my commentary for basically every episode will be the same thing.
Right.
Pretty forgettable, kind of funny, but not that funny. That's about it. At 278 is the end of serialization as we know it.
Okay.
Also a season 20 episode, actually the season 20 finale, reminiscent of the season 18.
What? Boy, put some pants
I really
on.
Didn't understand what was happening through most of this episode. I kind of had to go back and watch it a couple times to get it at all. Once again, kind of funny, not that funny. That's about it.
Hey, y'all, real quick, did y'all see that? This is the City Museum in St. Louis, bro. Like, honestly, I'm gonna let it play, but honestly, it's so dope to go here. I've been going here ever since I was a kid. It is literally one of the best things to do in St. Louis. Like, it's so many tunnels and caves. It's in one gigantic ass building. You can go through so many things. All the artwork is literally, you can go through it. It's really fun if you're a kid. Really cool if you're an adult and you're really high or really drunk, you know what I'm saying? So you see all this shit? Like, it's huge. Like, it's definitely a dope ass place. Okay, that's enough.
At 277 is Not Funny. Yet another season 20 episode. Really watching the whole skank hunt plot unfold in Denmark and all that was a big part of this episode, and I'm just not a big fan of that whole subplot, so yeah. Also, I'm beginning to think that I probably should have placed these season 20 episodes lower than I have because of how much I'm complaining about them, but, you know, it's whatever. Up next at 276 is Quintuplets.
Terry knows what I'm talking about.
Another
it's
episode
not you,
I
it's
had
me.
Almost no recollection of existing. After a quick rewatch, I discovered that this episode is actually better than I remembered it being. It's still not a great episode by any means, but, you know, there are still some funny bits in there, and
right.
it's solid, I guess.
Right.
At 275.
Look at this nigga's eyes, bro.
This is another episode of Nathan and Mimsy attempting to sabotage Jimmy and Timmy. All around, it's definitely better.
What's up, man? Big love for my boys up north, man, in Chicago, man.
Better than something like Crippled Summer. I think it's funny how they try to sabotage their experiment and, of course, end up making it better. This episode also has a very bizarre twist when it's revealed that the people who are interested in this project aren't actually the government or FBI. They're the NFL looking to fill their stadium with fans.
What?
Yeah, it was kind of weird. I don't know how I feel about that, but it was okay. At 274, OGs. This episode is definitely better than most of the season 20 counterparts.
The fact that they made Caitlyn Jenner look like that is hilarious and fucked up. Like, why the hell is this woman tongue hung out?
It definitely had a more sound message about privacy and all that kind of stuff. So I definitely think it was better than the rest of season 20 for the most part, but all around, just an okay episode. At 273 is Chickenpox. Once again, this episode is nothing too special. It follows the boys as their moms attempt to give them chickenpox so that they don't get affected later in life by it.
Shit,
and
I remember
that's
this.
about it.
But then, do you remember at the end? The end was funny. I believe is like when they discovered that shit that they were trying to give them chickenpox, and then they all they all got a whore from off the street to lick on all their toothbrushes and shit and give them herpes and shit or something like that. That shit was hilarious.
Coming in at 272nd, we have Jubilee. Now, this is another episode that's kind of forgettable. Nothing super notable happens in this episode, but it does have some funny parts to it. Like, for example, it's the introduction of Moses in this series, and it also includes Kenny sacrificing himself to save the others, which is a common theme in the series. And not to mention it has this joke, which I find pretty funny.
What do you desire from us, your children?
I desire macaroni pictures.
What?
At 271, we have the Tooth Fairy's Tats 2000. This episode follows the format of parodying Godfather-type movies or movies with drug lords. But instead of drugs, the merchandise being moved are teeth.
Right. You're right, Underground.
All around, pretty funny episode. At the 270th spot, we have Preschool. This is a good example of classic South Park and how the boys react to certain situations.
Right.
When the boy they sent to jail in preschool finally gets out and decides to come for them, of course, they don't learn their lesson and end up getting him sent to jail again with no responsibility.
Right.
Good episode.
That's fucked up.
At 269, we have Goth Kids 3, Dawn of the Posers. There's nothing really too memorable about this episode. The main reason it's placed as high as it is solely because of this running gag throughout the episode.
Okay, hold up. You mean that one of us might not really be a vamp kid?
That man definitely likes kids, if you know what I mean. Hell no, boy.
Right.
Well, whoever you is, you better get your ass ready to run, motherfucker, because you're a damn traitor. And I'll bet you it's this little right here.
At 268, we have Mystery of the
Hilarious.
Universe. The main plot following Cartman and his exploration into conspiracy theories, I think, is actually a pretty
What's
good
good, my boy?
plot. The reason this episode isn't placed higher is because of the side plot with the Hardley boys, which is kind of just a weird fever dream of a plot. I don't know. It's just makes me kind of uncomfortable. So
Right, them niggas talk with their teeth. I don't want to do it, Douglas.
okay, episode. At 267,
Stiff
we
teeth
have Canada
ass.
on strike.
No, this episode was dope. This episode with all the old famous YouTubers, like some of the first people to ever go viral, Laughing Kid, Karate Nunchuck Boy, Chocolate Rain over there, bro. They made Chocolate Rain over there was hilarious, my boy. And then that fat man, yeah, that nigga is hilariously fat. Yes, my boy, that's crazy because that's old YouTube, bro. That's literally old YouTube. They the OGs of YouTube, my boy. Some of the OGs, like Crank That Soldier Boy.
Maybe if it was still 2008, this episode would have placed a lot higher, but rewatching it now, it's pretty clearly dated in a lot of its references. Its references to internet culture and viral videos, while it does provide...
But I think that was the point of it, is like to be older. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I think that was the point of it. Like all the old references were because this was a date in time way back when, you know, all these people were popping and they were like going viral for the first time. Like YouTube saw some of its most viral content with these people, and I think that's what they were trying to get at.
some sort of nostalgia, it mostly ends up just being a little bit cringy and outdated, but still a funny episode. At 266, we have Faith Hilling. From one meme referencing episode to another, this episode tackles the 2011 trend of planking and all of its counterparts. And while it's not the funniest episodes, some of the parodies of planking that it included are pretty clever, so I'll give it that.
Right.
At 265th, we have Roger Ebert should lay off the fatty foods.
This nigga's face looks
All around,
serious.
this episode kind of feels like a fever
Look at this nigga's face. It looks serious.
dream. It includes the boys visiting the planetarium, or sorry, should I say planetarium?
Okay.
And while there, they end up getting brainwashed to love working at the planetarium. It's very bizarre. And it also includes Cartman trying to audition for the Cheesy Poofs commercial, which is a pretty classic bit.
But I have a bone disease, which impedes my ability to pronounce the T in planetarium. That's a pretty weird bone disease.
Coming in at 264th, we have Helen Keller, the musical. I would say this episode is pretty forgettable for the most part. I really didn't remember anything about it when I was writing the script.
Turkey
The
gobbles.
redeeming factor of this episode, however, is
Timmy.
Timmy Gobbles, the disabled turkey, and I think it's pretty wholesome and cute.
Yeah.
All around saves the episode.
I like that.
At 263rd is Bike Parade. This episode has a pretty solid message on consumerism in the modern society. Because all the Amazon workers boycott the poor working conditions, the town no longer has anyone to deliver the packages that they order, so it becomes the conversation of, without Amazon's unethical practices, there's no way for Amazon to be as convenient as it is. All around good episode. At 262 is Follow That Egg.
Amazon is built off of the backs of slave labor. Looking at us, well, I'm finna go in and shit. No, boy, they ain't lying, boy. Amazon used to work my ass like a dog, boy. They used to work my ass. Fucking thought I was a stripper. They was work my ass, bro. For real, man. I don't know if y'all OGs on the channel seen my Amazon vlog. The day I quit Amazon, I was pissed. I was done. I said, y'all, I had like 500 packages or some shit. It was like right going on Christmas and shit. I had like 500, 600 packages, and they were gonna send somebody with me to split up the load. And I was like, bro, I fucking quit, bro. I fucking quit. I fucking no pause. Ain't no damn pause. They used to work my ass. Worked it. They used to work it. Pause though. Pause though.
Best characters in the show. He's the perfect way to make fun of extremists on any side of an issue. With the goal of banning gay marriage solely because his ex-boyfriend is getting married, he hires a hitman to assassinate an egg that he assigned as a school project for his children in order to prove that gay people can't take care of children.
That's fucked up.
At 261 is Erection Day. A classic dumb South Park episode. This follows Jimmy trying to get rid of his erection before the school talent show. He goes through some wacky adventures to get there, and all around pretty funny episode.
Thanks,
At
Underground.
260th is franchise prequel. Personally, I'm a big fan of making fun of superhero movies, which they definitely do a lot in this episode. This episode, however, also makes fun of Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg, but they do it in such a bizarre way by making Mark Zuckerberg this weird, like dubbed over anime character. It's just very bizarre. So it's an okay episode.
It's like saying you're a
For
robot.
those few who don't know, could you tell us who you are?
I am the founder and chairman of Facebook, but I also have a style that is completely unblockable.
At 259 is Bebe's Boobs Destroy Society. Another classic dumb episode.
This was
when Bebe
funny.
begins to develop earlier than
Look
all
at
the
these
other
niggas'
girls,
faces.
all of a sudden the guys take a strong liking to her. They basically become Neanderthals fighting to be alpha male. Pretty fun. At 258 is Ike's WeeWee.
What?
The plot of this episode is also rather forgettable as the boys try to save Ike from his bris. But I find the side plot of following Mr. Mackey's adventures with drugs pretty funny, as obviously he's always the one.
Look at this nigga's head.
Bad, okay. At 200.
Drugs are bad. Okay. Drugs, they're bad. They're bad.
57 is Are You There, God? It's Me, Jesus. This episode's pretty funny all around, with the boys thinking that they get their period even though they just have stomach infections. And making God be such an ugly creature, I think, was a pretty funny touch to the episode. All around a pretty funny episode.
Wow.
He is the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end.
Well, yeah, but that?
Coming in at 256 is Tweak vs. Craig. Once again, a classic episode where basically the boys are bored, so they manipulate Tweak and Craig into fighting each other.
Classic
the side plot with the woodshop teacher is a little weird, but other than that, good episode.
Classic
at 255 is Summer Sucks. Since South Park has banned fireworks, the mayor decides to create the world's largest snake for the 4th of July celebration. They did not account for how long it would last, and it ends up lasting a very, very long time. Meanwhile, Jimbo and Ned go to Mexico and get arrested for fireworks. Good episode.
Shit, I gotta go get me some fireworks in a minute, too.
At 254 is the new Terrence and Phillip movie trailer. This episode makes fun of Russell Crowe. Enough said, really.
Fighting round the world.
Looking
at
ass.
253 is Bass to Mouth. This episode parodies the WikiLeaks controversy that happened at this time. It's kind of forgettable, but it has Lemmy-winks, so, I mean, I can't put it that low. And also,
Right.
Cartman gets thrown under a bus.
Damn!
At 252, we have Tegrity Farms
I
Halloween
forgot
Special.
about that.
I've rewatched this episode several times, and I honestly still have no clue what is happening in this episode. Like Butters with the mummy, and Randy and Towley being extremely high. It's just so confusing, but makes for an entertaining episode. Coming in at 251 is Butters'
was
very
fucked
own
up.
episode. This episode was released around the time that the creators were still testing out Butters being a main character. And it's a good episode. It's a little dark, little disturbing, but entertaining episode.
Very dark, but very entertaining.
At
Very
251 is Big Gay Al's Big Gay Boat Ride. This episode is the introduction of Big Gay Al, and all around a pretty funny episode. At 249 is Tom.
Oh, I love this episode.
This is another very odd episode. There
I love that shit, bro. That shit was hilarious, bro.
are funny moments with Mr. Garrison's nose job turning his face into David Hasselhoff. But something that put me off a little bit is the fact that Wendy murders their new teacher because
Right.
she's jealous of her relationship with Stan.
Right, that was
Yeah, a
fucked
little
up.
weird.
That was fucked
At
up.
248
Damn!
is Keeper. This is another episode that I had a vague memory of, but I didn't actually know if I made it up or not. But after I rewatched it, I think it is pretty funny with Cartman becoming the giant monster, and yeah, it's pretty good. At 247 is Quest for Ratings.
Gay
As
frogs.
the boys join the TV production class at school, it becomes clear that all that matters to the people running the station is ratings. The boys are forced to give the people what they want in the name of ratings, meaning terrible television.
Right.
I like this episode because it's a clever commentary on news stations and television just in general.
Yeah. News stations are a lot of ass. You know what I'm saying, bro? A lot of times you do not get what you really, really want from them, and that's the truth.
At 246 is Grey Dawn. This episode parodies old people driving and how they
That
have a
shit was
reputation for not
hilarious.
being great drivers. It's a pretty straightforward South Park parody, but it made me laugh, so upper C tier.
Hilarious.
At 245 is Stanley's Cup. I actually think this episode is very funny, and I was thinking about putting it in the B tier, but the episode has a pretty horrific and dark ending, so I couldn't force myself to put it in B tier. So C tier it is.
Okay.
At 244, we have Gluten-Free Ebola.
Gluten-free
This episode is
Ebola.
actually a pretty clever parody of the whole Ebola situation.
I would love some Papa John's pizza right now, my boys. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. I would love some Papa John's pizza right now, bro. That shit would be fucking amazing, bro. I don't even want to see this shit. What kind of pizza do y'all like, man? Ugh, I love